Welcome back to the Cricket District show from the beautiful Antigua and Barbuda. That's right, we're here for the Super 8 stage of the T20 World Cup. Very excited to be here. Jack Meacher to my right, Nikhil Atamchandani to my left. Nikhil, how are you?
Amazing at the World Cup. And look at Antigua, just look at the place. To be honest, the place, the Caribbean, I've been telling people, come to the Caribbean because we just have everything here. And the cricket has been top notch. It's been really fun.
I'm going to be honest, I am so happy right now. Had pretty much the perfect morning. We just played beach cricket at Jolly Beach with Antigua and Barbuda Tourism Board. Had a load of people come down. Really good game. Ended up being a tie actually. I think we lost on wickets. But a really good morning. Get back and we check the cricket score. England have absolutely smoked the USA, chasing down 115, I think, in about 10 overs. Joss Buttler hitting 83 off 38 balls, including 7 sixes and one 104-metre six. As England fans, we're pretty happy.
It's finally time. I've been waiting for this moment, and now it feels like England hopefully have had a reality check and realised, okay, we should actually start playing our best cricket now. And Buttler and Salt at the top. I think if you can't get them out, they're unstoppable, and I don't think you'll be able to chase down a total that they set.
I mean, Buttler just took hold of the game.
Yeah.
I think Salt faced 15 or 16, maybe 20 deliveries max in that. And Nasser Hussain talked before the tournament starting about teams peaking at the right time. I mean, England look like they're on the verge of getting knocked out, and then all of a sudden, they're into the semis.
Yeah, and everyone is expecting me to say something very insightful about cricket. But what if England won the World Cup and the Euros at the same time?
Chill. Chill. We could barely beat Denmark.
Absolute chaos.
But let's talk about England while we're on that subject. Like we said, on the verge of disqualification, now they're through to the semis. They look really strong. Can you realistically see them winning? Before we get on to Australia and Afghanistan and every other team that's playing in the Super 8 stage, talk to me about England. Who's impressed you the most? And can you realistically see them winning this competition?
Yeah, definitely. I can see them winning. I think I'm a bit concerned about their middle though. Like when you saw in the South Africa game, on a pitch that was not as flat as we just had in Barbados or in St. Lucia where they beat the West Indies. And if Buttler and Salt don't get off, I'm worried about that middle order. On pitches that are not good, on the very good pitches like St. Lucia, I have no fear that Livingston bears, so it suits them. I have faith that they would go really big and can really destroy teams. But it's on the, and when you look at where the games are playing, Guyana probably will be the best out of the three, but I expect it to be up and down. Not going to be easy. Trinidad definitely will be variable bounce, it'll be slow. And Barbados, well, today was good, it's a day game, the final. But, I mean, you don't necessarily know what you're going to get because there's no grass. So, look, can they win it? Of course they can. I think you asked who's impressed me the most, Jofra. The way he's come back off an injury, I didn't see him being this good. Even small moments, the 16th over against the West Indies for me, that won the game for them. Nicholas Pooran, one of the best, I think the best T20 batsmen in the world, goes 6 full and wide. The consistency, the discipline, and gets them out. Brilliant execution, and he's been one of the best bowlers for me.
Jofra, got to mention CJ in that. I think Chris Jordan taking a hat-trick today in front of a crowd at Barbados where he would have watched a lot of cricket being played at Kensington Oval. He comes out, a lot of doubts around him, I think, from a lot of critics of this England team. I mean, there have been so many. I remember Tim Payne said England are playing in the past. Loads of English journalists basically wrote off England after the first game. Ricky Ponting said Australia are going to have an unbeaten tournament, but we won't talk about that to you on camera. But they look really good, but obviously we're biased, we're England fans. Let's talk about the rest of the teams. Last night, Australia, Afghanistan. Pretty
so good
epic.
to wake up to see that scoreline. Well, we went to bed seeing the scoreline and they were doing really well. Afghanistan had got off to an absolute flyer. Gurbaz again off another flyer, and then I had a feeling waking up just to check the scorecard. I was like, oh yes, done it. We've spoken about it so many times before already, but we love the Afghanistan team. They're so flair. They've got everything it takes to get far in this tournament, and they're showing their class right now. And Gulbuddin Naib, the legend.
Not just on the pitch, off the pitch too. They've got Jonathan Trott as head coach, Dwayne Bravo, assistant coach. Is that his role? I saw the scenes in the dressing room. The ICC have been posting some great videos of the reactions immediately after games. And Afghanistan, obviously delighted with a win over Australia. But I hear them cheering as Bravo walks in, DJ, DJ, DJ. And that's one of the best things about this World Cup is seeing coaches from different nations, you know, almost jumping across allegiances. Obviously, you've got Kieran Pollard coaching England and Dwayne Bravo involved at Afghanistan. Have you caught up with any of those guys? Have you seen what their experience has been like?
Yeah, Polly. I had a chat with him when he was here in Antigua, and I think you could see in that West Indies game, you'll see the value of having them, because he just knew like the top 5. He knew all their weaknesses. You could see a clear plan from England. Like, put that full and white to Puran is something that people do, but sometimes he can get the better of you. But like, you could see that they were planning it, and they kept panning on Pollard during that over, and obviously him and Puran, that's his mentor and stuff. So it's funny how I actually messaged him after, and I was like, how could you do that to your boy?
Did you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But it was he just laughed. But it was cool to see the execution, and I think it helps. I mean, PNG, for example, have Phil Simmons, right?
Yeah.
Who coached the West Indies, knows a lot of the guys, and in that game, there's similar thing. Like, PNG really had the West Indies, and they had a chance to beat them. So it is a quite fascinating. I think Bravo, watching him, I did the warm-up game in Trinidad, and he's like, no matter what, you see him on the boundary in the World Cup now, but at the warm-up game when there's no cameras, there's no TV, there's no fans, he's still doing it. Like, he has invested deeply into trying to get that team to another level, and I think he is just such a quality bowler. But also, I think you can see him in coaching, the impact he's had on Chennai Super Kings, on obviously now the Afghanistan team. So really good for him. And I want to apologize to Afghanistan fans. I made a TikTok this morning saying, I started like this. This might be the biggest upset in World Cup history, and I got absolutely murdered in the comments. Everybody's saying, how could you say this is an upset? You have no cricket knowledge. When I said, obviously I expect Afghanistan, I always said St. Vincent, because of the surface, it's the worst place to play Afghanistan because it's the most spin-friendly pitch in the World Cup. But you still don't expect Afghanistan. I mean, sorry, I shouldn't say we don't expect, but still, you expect Australia to win.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
Right?
You do.
So that's why it was kind of, I said upset, but
I can't believe I'm about to make an excuse for Australia. I can't believe I'm even thinking about this. But something that did cross my mind is that they played Bangladesh right here in Antigua. The game was late. It was a late game. It was an 8:30 start. It then rained, and I think they didn't leave the stadium until 1 a.m. potentially. They then flew to St. Lucia for their next game. The next morning at like 7, 8 a.m. This tournament is brutal. So to go through it without any slip-ups is pretty much impossible.
Also, in 2016, the West Indies lost 1 game at the World Cup for when they won, and it was to Afghanistan. So maybe that means Australia going to be champions.
Maybe. Let's just talk about West Indies on that note. Talk me through their chances going into the next few days. And obviously, I'd love to know a bit more about what you make of Darren Sammy's coaching style, what you make of his impact on the team. There's been a lot said about how brilliant he's been so far. Just touch on that for me.
Yeah, first of all, at the time of this recording, we don't know. Obviously, when this comes out, we would know if West Indies are going on or not. It's tough though, because like, I was thinking about it yesterday. You plan 2 years in advance. You put everything in place for this World Cup, and literally it comes down to one night. And T20 cricket is the nature, as we saw last night, as we've seen in the tournament. You could just have a bad 2 or 3 overs and that's it. So again, it's tough to judge, and I think it will be a failure if they don't get to the semi-finals because and at home with the strength that they have. But I think regardless, they deserve credit. Sammy and Robin Paul, he said it in an interview, when he came into captaincy, they were ranked 9th in the world, and now they're 3rd. So definitely from that standpoint, they've been a drastic improvement. I mean, despite Astros and stuff, but you put all those things in place for this moment. So tonight, it's going to be a cracking game. It's a packed house. They've released additional tickets, but unfortunately, it's literally win or go home. So
it's huge. It's huge. Actually, from our perspective, Jack, we've been to a couple of games here, and it's been great to go to watch T20 World Cup at Sir Vivian Richards Stadium. But we have seen 2 pretty one-sided games. So
yeah, it's going to be nice to see a game that, not that the others didn't matter, but like, this is everything now. Yeah. This is all or nothing.
You saw it already. Liberta Black Hawks versus Empire Nation.
Excluding that, of course. We when watching the games in the stadium, I've loved it, and I think it's been a bucket list for a very long time to watch T20 cricket in the Caribbean, and in person it lives up to the expectation. Absolutely, the passion, the fans, the food, the drinks, like the DJ, music between every ball it was in that first game. So it's a real party atmosphere, and like you said, tonight we're watching West Indies South Africa, and it's very exciting.
It is very exciting. Obviously, this podcast is going to come out tomorrow, by which point we'll know who's won. So not much point us talking about that game. But let's just quickly touch on South Africa. Let's just say they are to beat West Indies tonight. They've been outstanding this campaign, haven't they?
Yeah, I think people are like, when I say it, and I remember we did our predictions and I picked South Africa to win. I also picked Nicholas Puran to get the most runs, and what's happening right now, but my other picks were shocking. But I think people are saying, Jack picked Virat. It's not going well for you.
India though.
Sure, we'll see. People are saying, that South Africa, they're barely winning. They're not playing their best cricket. I agree, but the thing is, in the past, they would lose those games.
Yeah.
Like Netherlands would beat them. They're still winning, and that scares me because it tells me that their best game is not far away. And to win, England needed 25 off 18, and they were only 4 down. Livingston was at the crease, Brett was at the crease. To win that game, to me, it speaks volumes.
Yeah, they want it. They really want it. I mean, Dale Steyn tweeted about Rabada, didn't he? He said basically, whenever Rabada really wants it, that's when South Africa look good. And I think it's the same with Quinton de Kock. Actually, quite a few of their players, they kind of look relaxed. They play so much T20 cricket around the world. Yet right now, you see them walk out to the middle with the Protea shirt on, and they look up for it. And a lot of people doubt them at major tournaments because their history has been, they slip up when it matters the most. But they look phenomenal, and whatever happens tonight, they've had a fantastic campaign.
Yeah, there's so much to talk about. USA, what a tournament.
Yeah, I want to touch on that because, like, USA, what a tournament. Everyone talks about that victory over Pakistan. They beat Canada, who they probably would have expected to beat.
Yeah, but Pakistan, surely not.
Yeah.
No one had them to beat Pakistan.
I'm just kind of playing devil's advocate. Like, let's say you speak to Aaron Jones next week and you say, are you happy with your campaign?
You'll say definitely.
Even getting smoked by England?
Definitely.
Barbados?
Rather, their first World Cup ever
to
get to the Super 8s, that's massive. Over teams like New Zealand, obviously different groups, but I think it's huge, man. Like, and
Sri Lanka,
also, people don't know,
teams.
but monetary benefits as well. They've received a lot just for making the Super 8s. That's going to help their cricket. Those guys are not on contracts, or they've recently been given contracts, but a lot of them work other jobs. You saw like Nat Travalka, he works at Oracle.
Yeah.
So like even for the Uganda guys, and it's the biggest thing, the Associate Nations, a lot of them don't have contracts, they have to work other jobs, so it's huge. I think a massive success.
I think you're right in terms of the profile of cricket in the US as well. Actually, that's something a lot of people have talked about. Is like if you had offered them a victory over Pakistan to make global headlines. We spoke about it last week on the podcast. Bleacher Report, Sports Centre posting about cricket for the first time. They probably would have taken it, but I have no doubt that they're walking off the field in Barbados right now thinking, yeah, that was great, but a bit disappointed to have got thrashed by England in that manner. But England look up for it. That's a serious performance.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about your experience real quick. Yesterday, I couldn't quite believe it. I saw ICC posted in collaboration with Nick Utam on Instagram. We spoke about your role. If you're watching this for the first time, Nikhil alongside us is digital insider for the ICC at this year's World Cup. And considering where you were 18 months ago, obviously you were making a lot of content online, but you must be feeling pretty proud to be in the position you are now.
Yeah, man, I think very grateful. The biggest thing for me is to be involved in a home World Cup.
Yeah.
2010 when England won, I was at the final at Kensington, so to be 14 years later and actually be working on it is huge for me. It's been a different role, something that I've had to adjust to, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I never would have thought I would get to interview guys like Ricky Ponting and Hardik Pandya and stuff. It's just been, I think, a good learning for me and just to rub shoulders with those guys. And not only that, I think just the overall experience, I've enjoyed it. To have you all come to a World Cup at home and be able to host you guys. Obviously, you come to the Caribbean before, but this is a different aura, or this is a different event. So yeah, it's been really cool. What about feel?
So working in the Caribbean is a different vibe. I was just saying to Nikhil then inside, the heat, it's just so warm. Anything you want to do, anything at any time, and we were speaking about it. I cannot understand how they play cricket in that weather. I literally walked outside to take a couple of photos and I was drenched. Bowling 4 over spell. Don't know how they do it.
I don't know, you bowled a nice spell on the beach.
On the beach, yeah, but I had the sea to dive in straight away.
Good. But it has been the most amazing experience.
It's been really good, and like I said earlier, just seeing cricket in the Caribbean, T20 cricket, just the vibes are very, very good. I've really enjoyed it, and also we've seen some great games. Although the one-sided, really nice to watch India bat. Like seeing Indian fans. I've never watched an Indian T20 match before. Seen them play a Test match in England, so seeing their travelling fan base come over and show the passion they have, it is the amount of Virat shirts. We made a video with all the different shirts, and it is their religion. It feels like it's all they care about, and it feels like that when they're at the cricket. Also, that's what they get away from life. The guys just dancing around with the music, having no worries or fears, and that feels like their escape. And to watch their favourite 11 players and. They got the job done.
And we've met India fans who have travelled miles to come and watch their team play. And granted, for us, we watched India play Bangladesh. It was a completely one-sided game. And we weren't particularly interested, to be totally honest, because it was quite obvious from the first ball that India were going to win. Rohit Sharma came down the track, 1 bounce 4. Thank you very much. But for them, that is most likely the first time, or one of the very few times they've seen India play
in the flesh,
in person. And you've got to... I remember actually, who's that amazing football commentator who's on?
Peter Drury.
Peter Drury was interviewed once, and he talked about commentating how does he make a 0-0 draw exciting, or how does he just not get bored? And he gave a great answer, basically saying, you look around this stadium, and for so many people, that is a father and daughter coming to their first Premier League match.
Yeah.
That's a granddad who's watched every single game at Stamford Bridge, and I feel like it's the same thing with cricket. We all watch so much cricket, but there's no such thing as just a boring game, because you've got to take into account the fans who care so much about it, who have travelled thousands of miles to watch their team compete in a World Cup. Even for the Bangladesh fans who have seen their team get beaten a couple of times, it's really special.
I think one of the biggest winners of this World Cup for me has been Nepal. To see fans fly from Nepal, Kathmandu, Nepal, to St. Vincent. Obviously, a lot of them, the diaspora in the US, but those fans, I look at Indian fans yesterday in Antigua, and I look at Nepal fans, I see a lot of similarities. I look at the trajectory of Afghanistan cricket to where it is now, and I look at Nepal. It's a very similar place to where they've started, and Nepal are probably even more advanced than Afghanistan. But I'm talking about tens of thousands of people going to watch this sport in Nepal. To have a performance like that, where they were one ball away from beating South Africa, who could potentially win the World Cup.
Yeah.
I think the way that their cricket is going is exponential, and the growth that is happening is happening rapidly. And in 5 years, I wouldn't be surprised if they could be Afghanistan, maybe even faster than where Afghanistan have reached. It's amazing where the sport is at right now.
Yeah, my knowledge on Nepal is not very good at all, but I remember when Afghanistan were coming through the ranks, Rashid Khan was kind of that player that was kind of the one that was shooting them forwards. Is there similar in the Nepalese camp?
They have a couple. Rohit Paudel, the captain, scored 100 against West Indies a couple of weeks ago, well, before the World Cup, in a series in Nepal. And then Lamichhane has had his battles, but he's back in the team now, and he's dominated franchise cricket. But I think they've got a few really bright sparks. There's a few. Paul Kami is the opening bowler.
Yeah.
Looks really good. So I think they need to play more cricket. It's for the associates. To see Scotland, for example, be able to host Australia now, end of the year, it's massive. I even saw Gerard Erasmus, the captain of Namibia, when the India-South Africa series was announced yesterday, he tweeted and was like, fancy a warm-up series in Windhoek, like India, because I think we need to get the full members playing the associates. It's great that they're playing the World Cup, but how much are they going to gain from one game? The bilaterals is where I think the most learning and development happens.
And that's where a 20-team World Cup is so important, is that we've had so many ICC tournaments in the past that have been restricted to the main teams, the major players, the ones with big budgets, and actually now you're seeing Nepal play, you're seeing Scotland. I saw Mark Watt basically said, we turn up every couple of years at ICC tournaments, we impress quite a few people who say, oh wow, Scotland can actually play cricket, and then we disappear. And the most important thing off the back of this T20 World Cup is that more emerging nations get the opportunities they deserve.
So what I just thought about as well, you talk about USA's tournament.
Yeah.
The fact that they've qualified for Super 8s, they're now directly into the 2026 T20 World Cup. That is huge.
Massive, and that's in India and Sri Lanka.
Yeah, so they don't have to qualify.
No, that's huge.
Is that what it is? 2026?
2026, yeah. That'll be a big one. But sticking with where we're at, how good. An amazing trip to Antigua. We've got to thank the Antigua and Barbuda Tourism Board for hosting us. It's been the most amazing few days. We're here for a bit longer. We're obviously going to tonight's game, and then we've got a few days exploring the island.
Yeah.
Going to try and play a bit of village cricket somewhere, try and get another village v pro. Who should we take on next? Obviously took on Racking Cornwall last time we were here. Who's around?
Sir Viv. And Ambrose. But I want to know from you all though, tell us about your experience of the World Cup, even if it means watching at home. I know some people that have been up at 3 a.m. and can't sleep, then end up watching one of the best games of the World Cup because the time differences of all of our viewers are all around the world. Tell us about your experiences, so I'd love to know.
Yeah, it's actually been great. We've seen quite a few comments on
the last episode, the engagement was great.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Obviously, we're starting this new channel, Cricket District Network. Obviously, thank you so much for your time to come onto the show. We know you're a busy man.
It's okay, you pay me well.
We pay you in Cricket District merchandise. But it's just been really fun to launch this and do new podcasts and travel to new places. And to be honest, a month ago, we didn't even know we were going to be at the World Cup. So to be here now is a real privilege.
Also, I know we're going all over the place, but Cricket District is sponsored by Nike. Is kind of I'm looking at Jack's kit right now. Full Nike is crazy. Nike.
It's cool. It's cool. Yeah, we're actually, it was a bit of a pinch yourselves moment actually, playing beach cricket this morning.
Yeah.
Having people as well, we were at Sir Vivian Richards Stadium yesterday, and we must have had 10 or 11 different people come up to us from all different nations, asking for a selfie, wanting to chat about cricket, wanting to chat about neon, where they can get a bat in Antigua.
It's mental.
It's a really cool community that we've built, and actually we're really proud of that fact. And that's all thanks to the people who watch these videos and subscribe to the channels.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be here without your support, so we massively appreciate it.
If you have made it this far, next episode, what are we going to try and do?
Yeah.
Should we tell them?
Let's tell them. So obviously you go home.
I go home, sadly, got to
Yeah.
get back home, but you go on to Barbados.
Just
from
quickly, sorry. This man is the ultimate club cricket badger. I know there's already an account called Club Cricket Badger, but actually, Jack, you're just as good. Because actually, Jack is going back home to make sure he doesnn't miss another Saturday, and obviously to spend time.
Can only
with
miss one.
And obviously to spend time with your other half.
Yeah.
But Jack's heading back to sunny Eastbourne. I'm heading over to Barbados to spend a bit more time with you, and obviously go to the final. If we are able to record an episode of the Cricket District show, what should we do?
Should we let them know? Should we tell them? All right, guys, we're trying. I think we have a very good chance of getting our first guest on the podcast, and it's a big guest. Let's just leave it there. We won't call it.
We'll leave it there. Fine.
Okay.
We'll leave it there. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it. Thanks for watching this week's episode of the Cricket District show. Nikhil, thanks for your time, mate. Jack,
Appreciate
been
it a lot.
pleasure. If you enjoyed the video and you enjoyed the podcast, make sure you subscribe to wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. And we'll see you next time.